Feeling overwhelmed by clutter taking over your space? Today we're diving into my proven C.A.L.M method, C.A.L.M, to help you stop the mess in its tracks. Whether you're tackling a junk drawer or an overflowing closet, this simple step-by-step framework will help you start small, stay consistent, and reclaim your home's peace. Grab a notebook and let's get to work. Hey friend, welcome to Modern Homemaker Mom. Feeling stuck in the chaos? Do you find yourself in survival mode juggling all the things? If you're ready to regain control of your home, schedule, and time for yourself, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jynae, a wife, mom, and homemaker who turned my household chaos into purpose with simple, flexible routines. I'm here to help you create a cozy, clutter-free home and reclaim your time for what matters most. In this podcast, you'll find episodes around home routines, cycle syncing, and self-care practices so that you can eliminate the overwhelm and create a home that you love. Go grab that laundry basket and let's get started. Before we dive in, can I ask you a quick favor? If you're loving these episodes and finding them helpful, take a moment to hit that subscribe button at the top of your screen. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode packed with tips to help make your life easier and your home more peaceful. Plus, it really helps me continue to bring you this content every single week. So thank you for your support. It means the absolute world to me. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by a specific area of your home that felt impossible to tackle? At the time of this recording, I actually plan today to do a bit of decluttering in my own home. I have a small laundry room. It's not huge, and because we're not in a very large home, we have to make the most of our space. And so our laundry room also serves as a place where I store a lot of my office supplies. So we have these IKEA drawers. There's 3 of them. One's a big tall one, and there's 2 smaller ones about 3 feet high, and they're a place to store all of my office supplies. And so anyways, since this room is already small, it has the washer and the dryer on the floor beside each other. There is a water softener there. And there's another like cupboard thing where we store extra pantry items. And then those 3 office drawer things. It feels pretty crammed in there. There's also a hot water tank. And I know you can't see it, but there's pretty much only enough space to get in there, switch laundry, and then get back out. It literally, the door to that room is a closet door, like a sliding closet door. It's not an actual door. So if you can imagine, this room is very small. There's a few open shelves above the washer and the dryer, very shallow shelves where I store baskets of things. But this room tends to be the place where my husband and I throw all of our stuff, and it just gathers a ton of clutter. There's a trap door in the bottom of the floor in this laundry room that opens up to a crawl space we have below the house, and the crawl space is really small. It's about 3 feet high, but we store some stuff down there. And since it's an older home, the crawl space isn't one of those awesome, beautiful crawl spaces. Not that crawl spaces ever are, but we don't love going down there unless we have to. Like, you need a little step ladder to get down, and it's dark. And anyways, so the clutter piles up in there because it's kind of the first step to getting things put away in the crawl space where we have storage bins for all of these miscellaneous items. And so what I'm saying is, all of this stuff builds up. And last night when we were making supper, the door to this little laundry room was open, and I looked in and I stood in the doorway and I just let out this big sigh. And my husband's like, "What?" And I'm like, this room is just so cluttered all the time. It gets so overwhelming and it drives me crazy. So I planned out that this week I was going to take some time to get that stuff put away, declutter. And I don't know if it's because spring is just around the corner. I mean, it's still, at the time of recording this, it's January still. But here in British Columbia, the winters aren't as harsh as it was when I was growing up in Alberta, where it was very cold and the winters were unreal sometimes. Here where we live, it's actually much, much more mild. So maybe I'm getting a bit of spring fever, and I just have this strong desire to purge and get rid of things that we don't need. So all that to say, today I'm going to be going through my own home and taking the steps I'm about to walk you through in this episode of how to get started with decluttering, what steps you need to take, and how to go through this whole process. So I thought that it was a great time and super timely to be sharing about how you can go about those exact steps. So let's dive in. I've come up with this acronym called the C.A.L.M method, C.A.L.M, that's going to help you remember how to go about decluttering. So let's dive into what that all entails. So letter C of this acronym stands for clear a small space. So start with one small manageable space to declutter, like a single drawer, a corner of a desk, or one shelf. I know I mentioned that I'm tackling an entire room, but you also have to remember that my home may not look like your home. I mean, everyone's home's different. So I am obviously teaching about decluttering, so you would expect from me that my home is not a total mess. So for me, it's just tackling different areas of my home every now and then as clutter builds up. Because like I've said before, clutter doesn't just magically disappear and never return. It is this constant thing that we're having to revisit and maintain. And so as a result, here I am this week planning on jumping into decluttering my laundry room. But for you, you might want to start really small. I often talk about starting small and simplifying to eliminate and work around not having that overwhelm, because when we take things on that are too big for us, it gets overwhelming and it ends up being counterproductive because we don't know where to start. We get overstimulated. So if for you, you just need to tackle your junk drawer in the kitchen. I know a lot of people have a junk drawer in the kitchen, or your spice drawer, or your cabinet in the bathroom where you store your shampoo and your bubble bath and all the things. Just pick one little area and start there. I think the other nice thing about starting small is you get the win quicker. So it gives you this like overall sense of accomplishment right off the bat, because it didn't take you near as long to get it decluttered, to get it feeling good, because tackling smaller projects is less intimidating. And so it's more achievable with a short amount of time. Okay, now how do I suggest you go about this? Well, first of all, pick a spot, like I said, the junk drawer, whatever, a specific area. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Remember, simplify. If anything, always remind yourself the word simplify. Then you can go ahead and set a timer so that we're not spending way too much time on this. I would suggest that you limit it to 15 to 30 minutes if you're doing a little drawer. It really shouldn't take you that long, because when we put timers on, it creates this urgency. I'm not wanting you to stress out, but I do want you to have an urgency to get it done so that you're not overcomplicating it. You're just getting right to the project. You're getting it done. You're eliminating the distractions, and we're just accomplishing that task. Then you're going to empty the space. So that's basically the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take everything out of, I'm going to use the junk drawer as an example. You're going to take everything out of that drawer and lay it out in front of you. Okay, so now we have everything out of the junk drawer. The junk drawer is empty. What is the next step? So we're moving on to letter A of the C.A.L.M method, which stands for assess every item. Sort out and only return the essential items that you need back to that area. Only keep what truly belongs or serves a purpose or adds joy to your life. Here are some key questions I want you to ask yourself when you get to this step. The first question is, do I use this regularly? The second one is, does this serve a purpose or bring me joy? And then the last one is, would I buy this again today if I didn't own it? Now, after you've decided what you need in that drawer or that space, now you can sort everything into categories. You can create piles of trash, piles of things you're going to donate or rehome, and then the things that you're keeping in that space. We actually have multiple, as they would call them, junk drawers in our home. There's one in our kitchen, and then there's one in our living room. And the kitchen one, I now actually have a really nice system. I've got these little, I don't even know what you'd call them. They're little containers I got from IKEA a long time ago, where I have my pens in one and my pencils in another, and erasers in one, and a pencil sharpener. Like, it's all laid out. And then I got these things from Amazon that organize my different Ziploc bags, like the freezer bags and the quart bags and the snack bags. Like, it's all organized. So when you open up that drawer, everything has a place. You know, if things have a place where they belong, it's easier to maintain and manage, and it's easier to not allow that space, that little drawer, to get out of hand again, because now you have an organizational system. And I mean, we're not going to dive into how to go about organizing today, but that's just a little, I guess, tidbit, you could say, of how I go about organizing my junk drawer. But your junk drawer is probably going to look different than what mine is and the contents that are in it. But when you are laying everything that you have out, just get rid of the things that you really aren't needing. Like, do you really need, if you had this in your junk drawer, do you really need 6 different erasers, or would 2 be enough? Simplify, always simplify. Okay, now we've taken everything out of our drawer, we've assessed what we have, and we've decided what is being kept, what's being donated, what's being trashed. Now we can move on to the third step, the third letter of our C.A.L.M acronym, letter L, which stands for let go without guilt. The reason I thought that this point was really important is because a lot of people really struggle with emotional attachment or being sentimental with things. And to a degree, we need to not allow for that to happen, because that's what causes clutter. It's like, honestly, the root cause of clutter is because we don't let go of items that no longer serve us, that no longer have a purpose in our life, just because of this emotional attachment. So we're really going to take this step to be okay with letting go and getting rid of items that we no longer need. So how are we going to go about this? Well, number one, I need you to shift your mindset and understand that letting go of something doesn't erase memories or devalue the item's previous purpose. The second thing I want you to think about to change your mindset around all of this is focus on the good that you're doing. Donating items can transform clutter in your home into a blessing for someone else that actually needs it. I think in every situation in our life, no matter how bad it is or how uncomfortable it is, there's always something good that can be taken from that can be picked out from the situation that you're in. And so in this situation, while sometimes it's hard to let go of things, to get rid of things because maybe a memory is tied to that, or it was gifted to you by someone and it was really special at that time, you just need to really think about, okay, this is actually causing clutter in my home. I don't need it. The only reason that I'm holding on to it is for that emotional attachment reason. And so because I'm holding on to it, it's causing clutter, which, as we talked about in our previous episode or previous episodes, clutter causes overstimulation. It causes overwhelm. It causes you to feel stressed and anxious. And so by getting rid of that thing that is no longer serving you, you can, like I said, bless someone else who may be in need of that item. Okay, and the last thing that we're going to do now is maintain with simple systems. That's what letter M stands for, our C.A.L.M acronym. So what I need you to do here is build easy to follow routines that keep clutter from creeping back into your life. Because like I said, it's not a one and done thing where we've decluttered this drawer. It's never going to get cluttered again. I can promise you that it is going to build up with clutter over time, most likely, if you don't maintain it. Now, in the episode coming out next week, I'm actually going to be diving in how you can go about maintaining and keeping the clutter at bay. So I'm not going to dive into it too much right now, but here's kind of an overall summary of some routines that we could look at to try to maintain the clutter. Now, this first one I think is a really good point, and I literally said this to my husband yesterday as we were reflecting on our past. We've almost been married for 3 years now, and I find that amazing. Like, how did 3 years already go by? But we were thinking about how before this current home that we're in, we lived in a tiny basement suite, and he said to me, imagine if we had to move back into that basement suite now, because we're in a bit of a larger home now. We have more storage. And we both agreed that wouldn't be possible. We'd really, really have to downsize again because we've just accumulated more items. And so I said to him, I'm like, the reason people all of a sudden accumulate so much is because you're constantly bringing new things in, but you're not taking things out as fast as you're bringing it in. And so this first routine I want you to keep in mind to keep clutter at bay is 1 in and 1 out. That's the rule, the 1 in, 1 out rule. For every new item that you bring in your home, I need you to remove 1 old item. This will really help you maintain balance. Okay, and the second routine is super simple. I do this every single day. It's just a little daily reset. Dedicate 10 minutes each morning, evening, whichever works better for you, where you're tidying up those high traffic areas. I do this actually I kind of do it twice a day, but we really dedicate the evening routine to do this. My husband and I, right before bed, we go around the house in the high traffic areas, which would be our kitchen and our living room. That's where we spend the most time. And we just put things away. And that is like I said, it's a little daily reset. And I do the same in the morning after I've gone about my chores and I've fed the baby and we've, gone through the main routine things that we do every morning. I go up around the house and I declutter. I like to call it tidy things and just put everything back in its place. So this is something that you could really simply add to your daily routine. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to talk about is seasonal purges. If you know me, I love coming up with as many systems, routines, rhythms, whatever it is, around the seasons, because I think it's beautiful how God gave us seasons in life: spring, summer, winter, fall. I talk about all the time seasonal cycle syncing, and so I think we can actually tie this whole seasonal approach to decluttering as well. When we're transitioning in those different seasons, that gives you the perfect time to reassess what you have, the items in your home, and just put them into categories like we talked about earlier. What do I need? What should I donate? And what should we trash? If you go about these seasonal shifts that naturally happen, it's going to give your mind that mental time, like, oh, we're going from winter to fall or winter to fall. I got that backwards. Fall to winter. And I think naturally a lot of people at the seasonal shifts just get this urge to declutter, to purge, to get rid of things. So this is a perfect time to do that exact thing. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really not spring yet. It's the end of January. So spring is still a couple months away, but I'm already feeling that pull to just purge and declutter. And it's kind of the same thing. Like I like to call it nesting. Because you think about a woman who's about to give birth and she goes through, if you've been through this yourself, you know what I'm talking about. You go through this phase where you just want to nest. You want to get your house in order. You want to get those meals prepped. You want to get, for some reason, I was this way. I was like, I need to deep clean the freezer. Otherwise that baby will not come. Or I was looking at the ceiling fans. I'm like, I need to clean the dust off those ceiling fans or the baby won't come. It's just women just go through this nesting phase. They want to make their space cozy. And so through these seasonal shifts and transitions, we can go through this nesting phase by decluttering and reassessing what we have. Okay, so finally, as we wrap up today's episode, let's quickly revisit the C.A.L.M method to decluttering that we just discussed. If you didn't take notes, now's a great time as I'm summarizing it all up. So letter C is clear a small space, start small to avoid overwhelm and build the momentum that you need. A stands for assess every item, thoughtfully evaluate what stays and what goes. L stands for let go without guilt. Keep in mind those mindset shifts I talked about. And then M is maintain with simple systems. Adopt sustainable habits that keep clutter at bay, just like we just discussed. So what I want you to remember and take away from this episode is that decluttering isn't about achieving perfectionism. I am really bad at wanting to have things perfect, and it's a fault of mine. And it's something that I've really had to learn over the years and continue to learn. So decluttering is not about that. It's not about creating that perfect space. It's about creating a home that feels peaceful, functional, and truly yours. Start with just one area today and celebrate each small win as you go. I think it's really important that we celebrate the small wins because that's what encourages us to keep going. If you found today's episode helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to the show so you don't miss out on the future episodes filled with practical tips and encouragement. And if you're feeling inspired, share this episode with a friend who could use a little decluttering in her own life. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you back here next time. Until then, remember these C.A.L.M steps, the C.A.L M method that we discussed today when you're going about decluttering in your own home. Before you go, if this podcast has encouraged or helped you in any way, the best way that you can show your support is by subscribing to the show and leaving a written 5-star review. Your words truly make my day and remind me why I love sharing here. You can also snap a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or post it to your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag me at Her Stable Home. Thanks so much for listening, friend. I will see you next time.